take a couple minutes. And I like that green screen that we do. So
cool.
I'm getting so much better at it that it's.
Well, that's cool. That's what
Excuse me.
But
So I was talking to Kia Moore. She called me just before you came in. She's like, "Where have you been?" Like,
oh.
I said, "You still need to get a baby?" She's like, "Yeah." So, have you heard anything on Miss Fleming? See, that's what I'm saying.
What?
She's
quiet or
well,
not saying?
that's what I'm saying. She's supposed to be in the community and all this other stuff, but you don't hear nothing from her.
Mm-mm.
Not a word. But she's electable.
Oh yeah, the famous electable.
Yeah, Mrs. Electable. All right, man.
So how's Max doing?
I guess she's doing okay. I tried to contact her, but she's stripping at Club Deja Vu in L.A.
Oh.
So, it is.
Yeah, you gotta do
What you gotta do, but I mean, I just don't see why she can't get a regular job. But that's just my opinion. But all right, here we go. This is going to be the Hot Seat Radio Show. Today we're talking about behavioral.
You can say behavioral
Health science, yeah.
Behavioral health.
Behavioral
just like just issues.
Mm-hmm. Health.
You got
issues.
you got like Medi-Cal, and
Okay, ready?
we could talk about how the Senate bill.
Okay, ready? Remember, just look into the camera.
Oh,
right there.
I forgot.
Well, just be natural.
No,
So.
that's okay. We talk about the
All right, it's another week. This is Donovan, Saadiq. This is the Hot Seat Radio Show. I'm with Mr. Moreno Valley, Daryl, Tarrell, and it's been a very good break. 4th of July weekend or week happened. Hope everybody was safe. You didn't lose any fingers or toes from popping those illegal fireworks out here. I was in Louisiana, and it's legal out there to do it. So, of course, I did partake.
Oh, of course.
And, when in Rome, do as the Romans.
Yeah.
Right? So, But a lot of stuff going on in Moreno Valley. Daryl, I don't know if you've seen the video I put up or the article I put up talking about the infrastructure bond out of the press enterprise that happened last year. That article happened last year. And in that article, and a lot of people were asking me, well, that's old news. No, it's not. Because the stars are aligned. He's got his 3-0 club.
Yeah.
And this is what's going to happen. Now, he's not going to do it overnight. He wants to be very subtle about it. But all the pieces are in place for him to do an infrastructure bond. Because he has asked, because why would Press Enterprise put that out? In one of the articles, it said, developer asked for $100 million for the city to kick in to help put in the streets and the roads and all that other stuff. So I did my research, and Highland Fairview was not sued. They didn't sue the Press Enterprise for slander, so obviously it was true. And that's the next step in this warehouse madness stuff that's going to be happening. So we're going to keep you guys posted on that. So it is relevant, and that's why we put it up, and we're going to continue to do that because we don't want you to fall into a lull, because now he doesn't have to go to council to do it. All he has to do is go to City Hall itself and do the amendments and the changes, and we would know nothing about it until after the fact.
Well, that's the big number one issue that we have to look at, because it's relevant because history has a way of repeating itself. I tell people over and over, because it says old news, but that's the problem when people forget.
Right.
Same thing happens again.
And if you don't know your past, you're doomed to repeat.
Yes.
You're doomed
Totally agree.
So, a lot of stuff's been going on. Did you enjoy your 4th of July?
Well, yeah, it was like a war zone out here, but it was a war zone out here. But
well, I mean,
right.
So being a war zone, where you're saying that they're using a lot of M80 firecrackers, the big oversized firecrackers? Or?
Oh yes, it would sound like a bomb was going off, and house shaking, windows shaking, cats running everywhere.
Oh wow! I was lucky. I left Belle. She was on the east side of the city. My friend that took care of her said that, she was shaking everything, but she pretty much did okay.
Yeah.
But like I said, you got some people out here who just don't give a damn about animals and PTSD veterans and things of that nature. So.
Well, that's the number one, I guess, peeve I have every 4th of July. It's because these illegal fireworks that go off all times of the day, all hours of the night, and you call and
nothing's being done.
Nothing being done. So I don't know on this particular day, the days leading up, that it's like I said, a war zone. And I called, and it stopped for a minute. But see, the thing is, I was talking to a former police officer, law enforcement, and I asked him. I said, why? I asked him, why did law enforcement then enforce the ordinance?
Right.
Like because I know they might have did. We don't know. But the thing was, I was driving on the fourth, and there were police officers at the corner with the cones and everything else. And like I said, I don't know what their role was on that day, but they apparently they was right there. They could see the fireworks over their head, and
he was calling it in on dispatch.
Yeah, and he said to me, he said, "Well, you know what? If you had kids, why would you want to spoil the fun?" I'm saying, well, that's the point. You're supposed to enforce the law.
Why? And the city has fireworks that they shoot off.
Yeah. And why have laws if you're not going to enforce it? Because people, it shows how our community has become. To me, it's becoming somewhat lawlessness because people don't even follow the simple rules.
Simple rules that are put out
there. And so you hear them all night, then they say they flaunt the law.
Right, and much less dealing with the fact that can you distinguish a gunshot from mass fireworks going on? So what if somebody was getting killed?
Well, yeah, that's a big thing too, because again, when you say to a society, here's the laws, you follow them, and the guy says, why would you want to spoil people's fun? I said, it's not the point of spoiling someone's fun; it's about enforcing the law. So. I said to myself then, so let me drive through a stop sign because you're spoiling my fun.
Right.
Don't give me a ticket.
Oh, wait, that's too much like what you're saying.
Well, yeah, but see, that's the thing about it because you got people.
Right. And, I was monitoring stuff when I was down in New Orleans and the Gulf Shores and on the Gulf. And, San Bernardino County, it's legal to shoot fireworks over there. That's where they sell them.
Yeah.
So just go over there. If you want to shoot fireworks and take your kids and you don't want to spoil their fun, take them over there and go shoot it over there. But and then number two, why would you want to shoot firecrackers in a drought-ridden area with a lot of brush and stuff like that?
Well, that's another point because people are saying, well, you spoil someone with a little thing like that because you got other crimes going on in the city. But they passed this ordinance in the county for a reason, not to spoil someone's funds. It's because of safety, and you're talking about the dry that goes into fire brush, and not only talking about your pets and things like that, but look at what happened in Riverside. A young kid got his hand blown off.
Right.
In San Bernardino, another kid lost his middle finger.
So was it worth it?
Well, that's the question. Yeah, we have to ask ourselves because to me, if you're going to have a civil society, if you want to have a good quality of life, it starts by enforcing the law.
Right.
If you don't have the manpower, and you say, "Well, we got other things to do," so repeal the law.
Right.
That's my thing. Repeal it. If you think it's a petty thing, it's we got murders and stuff. Okay, if it's petty, repeal it. That's my question. Repeal the law. But if we're not going to do it, then we need to enforce it.
Right. Or, well, what is that? With these cops, they have a lot of excuses. Oh, we don't have the manpower. Now we know at any given time there's only 13 to 15 cops patrolling the city. Yeah. But that's still no excuse. Like you said, they can see where the fireworks are being thing. But Riverside had a good program where they put out bounties to do that. And if I was here, I would have made all kinds of money just turning these people in.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When it comes to money, people will sell their soul for money.
Yeah, so we know that in this city. So
but
we know that.
But see, that's the whole point, though, because if you're not going to do it, then let's do this. Let's get with the county and set up a task force and find a way that we can feasibly enforce this law. And if we have to, our own city offer, say, $1,000, or
put a ad hoc committee and get some people that'll go out, citizens that are willing to go out and write tickets.
Yes, and that's a good idea because I think you have to tackle this issue before. Because little small issues like that leads to bigger issues. Absolutely. And it leads to the deterioration of your community.
Right.
So
you're absolutely right with that. But went down to Louisiana, had a great time. Brought back I brought back a whole pack of pecan praline candies.
Oh, that sounds good.
Ate them all. Okay.
Oh, you did?
Boudin, jambalaya.
That sounds good.
I mean, all the seafood you can eat. Gumbo. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, I know it doesn't seem like I put on a lot of weight, but I put on about like 4.5 pounds and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care where you're from. In the United States, the best food comes from the South. I don't care what anybody says.
I agree with that,
Yes,
because
100%. There you go.
fish.
Yes,
I
I mean,
got salmon croquet.
Yes, I mean, etouffee. I mean, it was all. I mean, I was eating everything. It was
I miss those
incredible.
days.
It was incredible. So hopefully, my mom could come out. She used to have crawfish boils, and maybe she could start doing that again.
Oh, that sounds good.
But I was gone a week. Really missed it. So, idiot Mayor Gutierrez, criminal Baca. I have not gone anywhere. I am still here. And another thing is, when I was gone, somebody had asked me. They wanted, to know the history of what's going on in the city. So I told them, I said, you guys can always go to mvgordy.com. That is a great source if you want to know the ins and outs of what's been happening in the city from the very beginning, or at least, to get a little history there. And another good site is Wake Up Mobile, is a really good one. Of course, the Inland Empire Informer, or the Hot Seat, is also a good one too. So for those of you guys that are joining, that is a great, great source. Or just email us and let us know. Daryl's Herald Times is also another one. Call them up, text them, and say, hey, what's going on? What's happening? I need information with that. We're going to get you that information. But moving on, you have been tackling the behavioral health issue. And tell us what's going on.
Well, since I haven't been there, since I've been working, so here I'm giving you guys some updates on some of the things that we've been doing because I'm part of the Behavioral Health Commission in Riverside County. And one of the things that we've been tackling right now, we had a quality improvement review of our healthcare integration. So one of the things that they looked at is we looked at the substance abuse, and these are independent auditors that came into our facilities and to all the facilities in Riverside County to do evaluation. And I was going to read some of the things that happened. Well, some of the reviews we got, some positive that says management, foresight, cohesive, calm, work well together, customers get quick services and expansion of services, good at putting people in appropriate levels of care, and leaders in integrated mental health and substance abuse services. So some of the things they were looking at is what, as you know, in our community, is the services that we provide to people, the clients that need mental health services. And so we got a good report on that. And some of the other things that we talked about is we have a program, it's PIP. It's not the PIPs, but it's called people call it PIP, but it's called Program Improvement Plan. Okay. So basically what we do, we try to improve the quality of service. Again, we look at statistics and data. Then what we do, we put a plan together. And when I mean not me, but the people in the behavioral, the staff, you got management, and they tackle the issue. They find out the problem and they tackle the issue. And one of the problems that we are tackling currently is the increase of youth under 18 that has substance abuse problems. So one of the things we set our goals for is to increase it to people who receive substance use treatment services from 3.26 to 8.24%.
Okay.
And so, because there was a need for it, because there was no, it's how surprised it wasn't a need, but based on the data and the context that we people that talk to, that we tackle an issue. Okay. And also, there's some other things that I've been working on is trying to get mental health services into Moreno Valley Unified School District. So that's one of my pet peeves is because the fact sometimes kids, it's a stigma of mental health. When people think of mental health, they think someone is crazy or something like that. But they don't understand a child could be in a classroom, can't learn because the fact that child has an issue, and sometimes the parents don't want to admit it because they think they are a failure or something wrong with them.
You're right, absolutely.
So I'm trying to get a collaboration, And I talked to board member Hogan from the Moreno Valley Unified School District. I happened to see him at Sizzler.
Oh, okay.
So while I was there, I saw him. We were talking about issues, and I brought that to one of the officials at our meeting and saying how I talked to one of our school board members about developing a collaboration. Because back in the South and places like in on the East Coast, they have integrated services. So they bring the services into the schools instead of being separate, and bring it into the schools so the kids can get the help that they need. Because sometimes I talk to a teacher, and you have children that's running around in the classroom, and sometimes they don't know why they're running around in the classroom. All they know is that they just not disciplined, but they don't realize they have an issue. And so we're trying to tackle so that kid can get the resources he needs and his parents, so he go out there and do good for his education and move on. And so that's some of the things we're doing. And another thing, we have a policy of pamphlet, a legislative report about what the federal policy when it comes to Medicare, Medicaid, in regards to the new health care bill that's out, the Senate bill. So
has that passed, by the way?
No, they're
still tweaking it, right?
They're still tweaking it, but it's the same old.
Same old.
And so here's some highlights from our report. The Senate bill ultimately imposes deeper cuts than the House version through changes will not kick into 2020. We all heard about that.
Right.
And beyond. And federal spending on Medicaid expansion population will gradually wind down to a matching rate, which many states expect to withdraw from the expansion due to their inability to assume the full share of costs. Also, beginning in 2021, Medicaid will be transformed from an open-ended entitlement to a per cap system with a set amount of funding. And also, the Senate bill cuts deeper than the House version by tying federal spending to a slower growth index beginning in 2025.
Okay.
So there's some highlights on that. Also, we had some things on in regards to the Senate health bill, and one of the questions that our legislative policy person had asked is how many people will be uninsured and how many will be eligible for subsidies. Well, according to the Congressional Budget Office, analysis predict 22 million people will lose insurance coverage by 2026, including 15 million Medicaid beneficiaries. Starting in 2020, the subsidies will be capped at those earning up to 350%. And here's something else too. The bill will also provide funding in 2018 and 2019 for extra subsidies to insurers to cover the cost sharing discount they are required to give the lowest income patients. So by cutting Medicaid for the poor and reducing subsidies for the middle class, the bill is able to rescue the rich from their tax burden. I had to put that in there.
How many tax cuts do we give the rich? We keep giving them tax cut after tax cut after tax cut, but look at our infrastructure because they're not paying their fair share.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because in the 50s and stuff, the tax, to be rich, it was a club. You paid a 75% tax rate.
Mm-hmm.
But look at the infrastructure back then when they were paying more than their share. Mm-hmm. Now it's down to 34%, I believe, and they want another tax cut?
Well, yeah. See, that's fairness. And, that's some of the... See, that's the biggest
Somebody's
thing.
got to pay for this stuff.
Well, yes, it's not gonna be free because the freebies are over, and that's the thing about our country. You can't get something for nothing, and somebody has to pay, whether it's me, you, or someone else who down the ladder is gonna have to pay for it.
Right, but the people who can pay for it. Okay, here's what a lot of people don't really know, and I did my research on this. If we cut the military budget in half. Now, nobody spends even close to what we spend on our military spending. If we cut our military budget in half, we would still be the #1 military spender in the world, okay? In half. That is enough money to pay for health care and even have a little extra to do other things. That's just the military budget.
Well, because I know a lot of our priorities, just like you said, like the infrastructure in our own city. I mean, I look in your neighborhood, in your community, what you had to fight for to get the money to get this stuff done.
Thank you, Jesse Molina. Thank you for backing that, and that was long overdue.
Well, that's the most important thing other than crime in your community is the infrastructure.
Our infrastructure. Here.
Because if you got bumpy roads, you got crappy roads, people ain't gonna want to invest. No business don't want to come, and so. I mean, it's important. It's an important issue, and also I like to talk about the updates on the opioid crisis. Here's something we got.
Yes, we have a big problem.
Well, here's some statistics that I'm reading. Drug overdose deaths in the U.S. exceeded 59,000 in 2016, the largest annual jump ever recorded. Overdose deaths rose to 19% over the 52,400 recorded in 2015. And all evidence suggests the problem has continued to worsen in 2017.
Wow.
It's an epidemic right now.
It's an epidemic. And in the budget, they want to cut opioid. But I heard Ted Cruz put in they call it a Ted Cruz resolution in the new budget, to where he wanted to up the money for opioid abuse and services.
Yes, and that's going to be needed. I mean, as much as what's going on, because people, again, I always talk about hope. Because, again, people go to a lot of these things because they're losing hope. I hate to say that because it's easy. It's
easy to sit there and be on our white horses and say, you should do this and you should do that.
Yeah, and when people have to live the reality in that, knowing that they're facing so much pressure and so many things, and they have nowhere to turn to, and that's the only outlet for them to.
Well, or I don't down people that maybe turn to that. I mean, that shows me that's a really weak person, number one. But like you said, they need hope. Some people aren't as strong as others. Yeah. And if you can't get out, maybe you can just get out in the dream.
Well, yeah. But that's unfortunate. I mean,
and I don't know if you heard today, Nevada, marijuana, legalization of marijuana in Nevada. So everybody's going to Vegas. They're going to Vegas not just because the Raiders are moving there.
Oh, yeah.
But it's legalized in Nevada now, but they have a shortage because the people who bring the stuff in didn't get their permits in time and stuff like that. So that's going to be a big problem. So they're going to, it was in the news, they're going to face a shortfall in regards to their marijuana dispensaries.
Yeah, well, that's again, the legalizing of marijuana, whether you're for it, I guess it's here to stay.
And prostitution will soon follow.
Oh, yeah.
Prostitution will still soon
follow.
I mean, people don't want to admit it. Okay, we've had booze, we have illegal drugs. Prostitution is the second oldest profession in the world, I guess, or the oldest profession in the world. And it's been going on. So the government is going to say that's the only reason that the government said let's legalize marijuana, because a lot of people are using it. So let's make some money off of it. Let's get a tax on it. They take that money and it goes in the coffers. So it's just a matter of time before prostitution is going to happen too.
Yeah, but I don't. I
don't condone it. I don't condone it.
That's the same thing about the fireworks. When we go back to the fireworks, and you remember what you were saying about the fireworks. Yeah. Now, if everybody's doing it, but the thing, it doesn't make it right.
It doesn't make it right, but
yeah.
Being a Western, we're very hypocritical. We have a $14 billion porn industry, and it does. Okay,
but we on the left coast, though.
Yeah, but I just never understood this. It's not illegal to have sex on camera and get paid for it, but it's illegal between two consenting adults in private to exchange whatever you do. It just doesn't make sense. And if you go to most Western countries, and I've traveled a lot, prostitution is legal in a lot of countries. And the government does get taxes. The girls that partake in that are regulated and they're checked. And let's face it, you've got a lot of young ladies out here that are legal age that want to have fun, make a lot of money in a short amount of time, and go about their business.
Yeah,
it doesn't make it right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and like it's too much government intervention. It's too much to be involved. Right. I mean, you have on one end he says we want to be moral. Sure. On one end, then the other end that we want to be involved in. Tax. Well, that's one's opinion. That's why this country is so great because
we want to regulate what goes on in people's bedrooms. I never understood that. So.
That's
it's crazy, but you're right.
So let's see what else heroin. Okay, I have another report on heroin. Heroin is
epidemic.
Oh yes, all these drugs. Think about it. The times we're living in.
It's killing people.
Heroin use cost the U.S. more than $51 billion in 2015. A financial total that includes heroin-related crime, imprisonment, treatment for addiction, as well as chronic infection diseases contracted through drug use. Mm-hmm. So, under the president's budget proposal in fiscal 28, the we call it the SAPT, SAPT block grant is level funded at $1.87 billion. Basically the same as it was in current fiscal year. So there's some things. Also, here's something else I wanted you guys to hear about. It's also the highlights of the 21st Century Cures Act. And it authorizes funding to address a variety of needs of our regional and national significance. And some of the things that I want to highlight in this act is the reauthorization of a variety of programs related to underage drinking prevention. It also reauthorized mental ill offender treatment and crime reduction act at an annual level of $50 million from 2017-21 fiscal year. So, and also here's something else, a good thing. It allows drug court funding to be used for targeted intervention. Mm-hmm. Involving individuals with a substance use disorder and an identified mental illness. So there's some highlights from what we received at my meeting. And so there's some other things too that I'd like to
please go.
To talk to you guys about too, because I mentioned earlier about the substance abuse PIP. That's the program improvement program. Mm-hmm. And as I said, here's what I'm reading. It says it's estimated that 12,129 Riverside County youth between the ages of 12 and 17 had an alcohol or illicit drug abuse or dependency problem. So, Riverside University Health System Behavioral Health is estimated to have served only 3.26 of those youth. So, that's what I was talking to you guys about. Based on other data, that's why they're coming up with these programs to tackle it. And here's some of the programs they're trying to do. It says in order to reach more adolescents in the county, the array of adolescent services is being expanded, what we have. Because, again, we was not focusing on that age group. Mm-hmm. We're focused more on adults, but these kids, with the introduction of marijuana. Mm-hmm. So, and here's something else, too. And it says the majority of whom were between the ages of 15 and 17, and the majority was identified as Latino Hispanic, which was 76.7%. And there were twice more males of 69% than there were females of 31%.
Wow.
So that's
what problem we got.
Well, yeah, that's one reason I like about this committee, because this committee focuses on problems. They get the data. They call it intervention, and they tackle the issue. So, and they come up with a solution. Then we come back and find out, is it working or not? If not, we go back and to readjust the numbers. But this kind of problem-solving solution is what we need in our city, because there's a lot of more things that are going on in the city other than, the simple budget stuff. We talking about real life issues. We talking about human beings that need help, who losing hope. You see the homeless people. Some people saying, you know what? I would say this. They say, where's the homeless people are? Well, maybe because you have your eyes covered, you don't see it. Or maybe because you step over one of them. They're there. They're in the sight. You may not see them on the street, but they might be sleeping in cars. Because a lot of them are sleeping on someone else's couches. Right. So when you think of the traditional homeless, you think of someone sleeping in the street. But there's different kind of homelessness now.
Right. A good thing you brought that up. Now, in this city, I don't know how you can miss a homeless person, because they're right in the middle of the street in Day Street. You see the guys with the signs. That's a prime spot for those guys to come out there. But also, a lot of homeless people, what they do is they'll go to the colleges, and that's where they'll use the gym to wash up and clean up and stuff, and you'll find them there. And they don't look like they have a shopping cart. They look like you and me. It's just that, and people don't take that into consideration.
Well, that's what some of the things, that they're trying to do is the tradition is put them in the housing and find a place. But what they do now, they put them what they call in a blanket. Mm-hmm. When I mean blanket is, you put them in the house and you attack the issue, whatever the issue, mental health, substance abuse, in that home, so they can get help, so they could if they could get a job, they could work on getting a job and clean themselves up so they could be productive. So we just don't house them and forget about them. We house them so they could get better, so they can move on. And that's one of the things about at the meetings that we hear from people who have recovery, people that you can never imagine that how they get themselves in that situation.
Right.
And some of these people, like let's see, was it the last meeting was a young lady who was herself came from a good family. Mm-hmm. She ended up drugs and homeless. But what her story inspired me is because the fact of what our services did for these clients.
And making a difference.
Oh yes. And now she's going to go and be a teacher. She's going to get her master's.
Amen.
So to me, you got to give your hands up for that person because they wanted help. And because sometimes they don't know where to get the help is. Because like I said, it's a stigma. When someone is homeless, if someone tries to help, and there's people who don't want to be helped. But you still don't give up on them. You can't force anybody to get help. So they're going to come back at the next meetings how we could deal with individuals who have that issue.
Right. So if we wanted to go to your meeting, where can we find that?
Well, if you wanted to go to our meeting, you would have to go to our Ruston facility, which is I wish I had the.
Yeah, that's okay.
Just
in general, because we could put it up on a.
Oh yes, it's on Ruston. It's our new behavioral health facility.
Okay.
And it's at 12. It's at 12 p.m. to 2, and it's on the first Wednesday of each month.
Okay.
So we'll be dark next month, so you could come in September. And if you have any questions on what we're doing in Moreno Valley, that's what I've been trying to do, is to push our cause on that board, because people are always tired of hearing about Moreno Valley, but I'm gonna keep talking about it because there's many people out there that need the services, and they need mental health services, or they need drug abuse services, because the fact is a lot of people are losing hope out here, and that's why I've been fighting so hard for it, because I think that's the way to recovery, because people don't know where to go. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying my best to get the services into our community, the county services into our community, into our schools, and also so other people could, our teenagers and our
they can have a way to go.
Yeah,
and I know people say, well, you guys always talk about Moreno Valley. We're the second biggest city in the county, so of course, if we're the second biggest city, that's a major impact. I mean, 200,000 people is a lot of people.
Yeah.
And out of that 200,000, let's just statistically do it, 8% of those people might need assistance in substance abuse.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people. And those people can tell people in Riverside,
yes.
and we all got friends in Riverside, San Bernardino, whatever the deal is. So, because we're all the Inland Empire, but, we happen to live here, and human nature dictates that you take care of.
I could plead our cause to this committee and to the officials that we need services here badly, and we cannot no longer be neglected. We have some help coming on the way, because I think one of the staff people that I talked to saying that they're waiting from the substance abuse manager, saying they're waiting for the county to move out of on Cottonwood so they could put services in those buildings. They're just waiting to them to move out.
Right.
So we're getting help.
It just takes time. Just hold on. And hopefully, if we could elect leaders that have a little empathy and would really serve the people rather than a developer, there's no reason why we shouldn't have some of these programs. Again, we are lacking in a youth center. It's summertime and these kids have nothing to do.
Yeah. And we need more cooling center. I mean, because I attend some of the meetings down in Palm Springs in the past, and I see the kind of things they have down there. Well, they need cooling centers because it's, the devil is right outside the door in Palm Springs. He's always there.
Yes.
But
105 last Saturday. So
so we need to invest more into the human needs in our community.
In the community.
Yeah. Cooling centers, youth centers,
public pools.
Yeah, because when I lived in Georgia and I lived in Atlanta, we had every park had a pool.
Right.
It was, when I come out here, you have to go to a high school to go swimming. Mm-hmm. Why we don't have, I can understand why, because insurance, maybe the insurance.
Yeah, we're in a what do you call that? A litigious society where we
Yeah.
want to sue in case the kid slips at the pool.
Yeah.
We're suing it, and then it shuts down the whole pool for the whole community.
Yeah.
I remember at March Air Force Base when it was active, there was a pool there, and there was one at Norton, and we would go to the one at March,
Yeah.
and somebody did something and the board got messed up or something,
Yeah.
and so they took the board out. What's the, you can't even do. I wanted to do a triple Lindy, and I couldn't even do a triple Lindy in the pool because there's no diving board.
Well,
Not that anybody could sue the base, but because somebody got hurt,
yeah.
Well,
that's what I liked in the summertime when I was younger. I used to go down to the park, pay my little 50 cents, jump in the pool, swim all day,
right,
and go home, do it again because that's something that I'm used to seeing. Because we had those services, we had parks that had pools, we had full service parks, what I call them.
Right.
We just didn't have baseball fields and no.
Yeah, we were still
no
too
community
young.
center.
Yeah, we were still too young at that time. But with 200,000 people, there's no excuse why we can't have these things now. Moreno Valley, as even though we have low-paying wage jobs that don't pay anything and they're not career-oriented, there's no excuse for a developer. Why do we have money for a developer to put in stuff for him, but there's no money for the people who are actually paying the taxes?
Well, that's why I let the officials have to put more priority on the people. That's why it goes right back to what I said before. When you have people in our community that are suffering, and again, they work in 2 or 3 jobs maybe.
Right.
Or they
they are.
Yeah. Cause I was one of them that worked 2 jobs for almost 8 years. So I know living the paycheck is about, and not having some kind of humanities or someone invest. I pay my tax dollars why I'm not getting back in full what I paid for.
Thus, here in Edgemont, all these people paying property tax all this time, and it didn't benefit this neighborhood at all. It benefited the east side of the city.
Well, that's why, again, you have to have leaders that put people first. And what I mean by that, again, I always go back to the lady with the hole in the roof. That should have never happened. But then again, you got to hold these slumlords accountable.
And as Victoria Baca been doing that, she could care less. We haven't seen her in the district. I heard that the 4th of July she got booed during the parade. Is that true?
I didn't hear.
I mean, people were telling me she was getting booed at the parade and stuff like that. I guess when they went to when they wanted, where the grandstand is, I heard that she got booed there.
Oh, I didn't hear.
If anybody has that video, please, I would love to see that and play that over and over and over again. But that's going to go into our next segment. Well, we can go into it right now. I want everybody to think about this. When we talk about hope and what's going on, nobody wants to talk about the white flight that's happening in our city, and we're going to continue to say that because that's what's happening. People have seen the writing on the wall. The WLC is approved. If you live on the east side and you have a very nice home over there, you need to get out now. And a lot of people are leaving now and selling their home because the minute, it's never going to be built, but the minute that it does, the value of your property is already going down just based on the location that it's in right now. So people are leaving. Now, I want everybody to go to AshaForCongress.com. Now, Asha was in the WLC wars with us. She's been in the community. She's somebody who doesn't just show up like Kid Krabaris and, I'm here and vote for me and God sent me and all that other stuff. She didn't do all that. She was putting up tents. You were there, Daryl. You saw we were putting up tents.
That's all. Yeah, that's what you got.
She was getting signatures and she was there. She's running for Congress right now. And we're not saying that she can stop the WLC and what has already happened. But then again, if you're a good legislator and you know about government, just think if I was a councilman right now, that WLC would be done right now. It would be over. I would be writing executive orders like my man Trump and reversing everything that's been done. But anyway, she wants to go to Congress, and what she needs is financial support. We've done the math. We've done $27 is what we're asking. I say let's round it up. Let's just say even 30. Donation of even 30. Get this person elected. Somebody who knows the issues, knows the facts. She lives in the city. She's in Congress. Get her elected to Congress. What do you think would happen if we had friends in higher places here in Moreno Valley?
It'd be a good thing because one thing, she being in the majority, so she will be able to get things done. That's what sometimes people forget.
Yes.
She'd be in the majority where she could get resources into this community to help, again, the Edgemont water problem. And it can help with the infrastructure.
We could bring some federal investigators to really get into here and do some arrests or whatever, at a request. But I think it's because when you got a congressional person who actually lives in the neighborhood, they feel what we feel. And nobody wants to live in a neighborhood, illegal fireworks are going off, crime, there's not enough police. This is a congressional person that lives right here in the 4th District, the nice side of the city.
Well, that's one of the things. So also, too, I was sitting there thinking about when we were talking about fireworks, that she could help create a grant for cities to apply for to help out with the extra patrol hours to enforce fireworks. People, be laughing about that, but again, it's not about fireworks. It's about enforcing the law. That's what it's about. Why have laws if you're not going to enforce them? And that's a thing that has to stop. And I think with her there and her creativity, that she could craft things and get resources that we need to give people again hope, lift the quality of life in our city.
And just think about it. Everybody has a bias.
Yeah.
So she would have a bias to what's going on right here in Moreno Valley.
Yeah, she lives
here.
She lives.
I mean, it's common sense.
Well, yeah, and the same thing too. I was sitting here thinking about the base, bringing more resources to the base, bringing more planes to get more whatever they need to fit their mission.
I say open that base back up.
I agree with you.
And do that because, number one, common sense is there is no air mobility base in Southern California. Yeah. And that's right there. That's a talking point right there. You can say, we're in these endless wars.
Yes.
We need a base in Southern California to continue the mission and be more effective. And having a reserve base, I'm not saying that they do a great job over there, but the fact of the matter is we need a full-time military presence.
Yes, I agree because in these dangerous times that we live in, and we have a madman over in Korea, in North Korea.
Wait, no, not North Korea. You mean Washington D.C.?
Well, I'm
just saying. What's the difference? Yeah, what's the difference? I don't know.
But that's the whole important thing though, because you put it again, the port is on March Air Force Base. And that base should have never been
closed. But when you got 2 women senators that don't care about the military, and people say, well, that's stupid. And it's funny, we got a lot of people here that have no military background. They come from East LA or wherever they're from, LA. And that base used to pump in $50 million into the local economy.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we've got pink sidewalks on Sunnymead Boulevard.
Yeah. Well, there you go again. That's what I'm saying, because I believe in a strong military, and I think we have to, because in next time, like you said, air mobility is important when you're on the Pacific coast here.
Well, think about it. You got Camp Pendleton 35 minutes away. You got 29 Palms an hour away. You got Fort Oran. All these Marines need to get to the fight.
Well, yeah, and that's because the investment, because you have the joint powers on that. But I look at it like this: we in dangerous times.
Dangerous times,
and it's called for us to re-look at everything.
Right. Well, think about this. When we were coming up and the base was active, when there was military people running around this town, was there a lot of shootings and things like that going on?
No, I don't even recall that because
very rare.
Yeah, it was very rare
because you had military people that were armed and trained to handle situations that happen. But now you have people. This is like the Wild Wild West. That's why they don't enforce laws, because what they're trying to do, and you can look it up, is they're trying to get people to leave this town and keep it a very poor town and really make the town fail.
Well, that's why people like us or people out there that's watching have to get involved. And I know you're looking right now and you're saying, why should I get involved? I'm working. I got my own daily life. But the future is what we are fighting for. The future of this community. The future for your kids and yourself to live your American dream. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
That's important to me. And that's why I keep fighting. And I know that's why Donovan keeps fighting. And I'm not going anywhere because...
Well, to be honest, though, if Edgemont gets fixed in the water problem, you won't see Donovan Lloyd anymore. You won't see me. I mean, I'm just being honest.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know,
but
be real.
But by being real, if my district is taken care of,
Yeah.
and the other district are taken care of, we still have a great city.
Well, yeah, because there's no excuse for us not being a great city. And much, I love the city. And people always have this thing about, well, if you love the city, then you should go along to get along. No, I disagree.
No. We've been doing that, and what have we gotten in return?
We got more worse quality of life, I would say.
Like I said, I don't care if it's a developer. I don't care what you do in this town. What's in it for us? And that's one thing we're going to talk about in the next hour. If you think about it, we haven't got nothing dealing with this developer. It's all been about him. When are we going to get ours? And we'll talk about that in the second hour. I'm Donovan Saadiq. Mr. Moreno Valley, Daryl Tarrell. We are going to talk about that in the second hour, you guys. We love this format. Please download the app. It's on Google Play and Apple House, or whatever you call that thing, on the Apple side. So you can hear both of us and everything that's going on. So we're moving on up, and we're just getting better and better and better. We are not going anywhere. So for those of you guys that think that we have disappeared, 25 years from now, I've got everybody's faces that caused this problem in this city. We'll talk to you guys again in the second hour. In the can. Perfect.